ToRaH Garden, speaking the absolute truth. ToRaH Nation.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Yashar and Yahudah. Grafted in Gentiles into the body of a Mashiach. We the people of the book broadcast is going down as you do on every Shabbat. Listening to none other than HezekiYAH. The song is entitled Feast of Dedication. I praise Yahudah for dedication. Dedicated because he is the temple in me. Hallelujah. Yahuwah, in the name of Yahushua, I give you praise on this your Shabbat. Yahuwah, I pray that you take the reins of my lips and the reins of my tongue and reign. Yahuwah, that you would do the work that needs to be done in me and through me by your Ruach HaKodesh. Take the reins of my lips and reins of my tongue and reign. You told me through Mashiach that from my belly shall flow rivers of living water of disrespect of the Ruach HaKodesh that we should receive after Yahusha was glorified, and Yahusha has been glorified. He has been into the Shamaim, the holies of holies. He has offered up his blood in the temple of the Shamaim, and you, Abba, was there to receive it, manifested your presence before him, receiving his atonement. Yahuwah, I give you praise. I give you praise. I give you praise. Yahuwah, I pray right now in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach that you would continue to lead me, to guide me, cause me not to allow anyone to stumble, anyone to be turned out of the way, anyone to come up lame. Yahuwah, I don't want to be responsible for anybody's soul. Yahuwah, I want to be the one that tells your people what you say and leave your word to them to obey. Yahuwah, I do not want to say what I want to say. I don't want anybody to say he said what he wanted to say. Yahuwah, I want to say what you want me to say. I give you praise. Yahuwah, I pray right now in the name of Yahushua Mashiach that you would take the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart and make them acceptable in thy sight. Yahuwah, my strength and my redeemer. In the name of Yahushua Mashiach. Again, we listen to none other than HezekiYAH. Song is entitled The Dedication. Listen, I don't want to write to this music. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, listen, let's understand this, right? Yahuwah has gone through great lengths in extending this Yeshua to us, right? A people that he has chosen. Right? He came to Yaakov, his firstborn son. He sent the witness of Yahusha. That witness of Yahusha entailed that we must be born again. Right? We must be born again in order to see Yahuwah's kingdom. Right? But more specifically, we must be born of the water and the Ruach HaKodesh in order to enter into his kingdom, right? We have to be the witness. We must receive the witness, the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. And we must bear in our temples the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. That's the witness. See, Yahuwah told me to cry out, spare not, listen to my voice like a trumpet in Zion to warn his people. I'm warning you that you must receive the Ruach HaKodesh, the water and the blood. I'm warning you that you must receive Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh. You got to be born again. You got to receive this witness. There is no other way to Yeshua. There is no other way to Yahuwah. You have to understand the necessity of his dedication in your temple. Listen. The Most High, we're going to go in. Right? We are approaching let me see. We are approaching the Feast of Dedication, right? Feast of Dedication. It was a time in reestablishing, right, the temple order of service. It was a time of removing, and a time of cleansing a temple that was filthy. Right? Now. The actual dedication of the temple, Yahusha honored when he was on the Eretz. Right? Yahusha is the fulfillment of the Feast of Dedication because Yahusha was the temple when he was in the Eretz. Yahusha was the only place where Yahuwah's RUACH dwelled in the Eretz when he was on the Eretz. Yahuwah was in Yahusha without measure. The RUACH HaKodesh descended on Yahusha like a dove, right? And it made its abode in him. And Yahudah said, listen, this is something that I was told, and I know that he is the one because the fact that I witnessed the Ruach HaKodesh descending upon him as I was told it would happen. And then I was told that he was going to baptize with the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit of Eluah. Right? Now Yahushua himself came up out of the water being the temple of Yahuwah. He came up out of the water being the high priest of Yahuwah. He came up out of the water being the sacrifice of Yahuwah. Everything was fulfilled in Yahushua. But before this, there was nothing there but thieves and robbers. We had these Edomite kings, these Edomite political puppets, these Pharisees and Sadducees, these Talmudians, right? And these people that were Greeks, right? That infiltrated the area and the territories of Jerusalem. It came to a point where it was so diabolical that, for Mashiach, that, there was this Judas Maccabees, Yahudah Maccabees, who put an end to the filthiness, took on Greek and Greeks that had established themselves in their wicked, diabolical practices. bringing bondage. I see. Let's go to Maccabees. Right, we're gonna try to get through this pretty quick because I want to show you the parallels between this physical temple that was defiled, this structure, this building, this temple made with man's hands, and what it took to get at that place. I said, listen. Let's go. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, of the Macedonians, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, the king of Persia and Medes. He reigned in his stead the first over Greece. So Alexander the Great was the first to reign over the Greek Empire. The Greek Empire, right? He says, listen, and made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the RUACH. Alexander the Great made his footprint throughout the world, right? Throughout the earth, right? And went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Right? Earth was quiet before him. Now, when you consider Alexander the Great and his achievements, you have to look at Dawid first. Dawid went and conquered the known world. Dawid made people tributaries, establishing Yahuwah's kingdom. The earth was quiet after Dawid's conquests. To the point when Dawid died, he was able to pass the kingdom on to Shalom, per Yahuwah's instructions. Shalom, throughout his tenure as kings, it was rest. Shalom realized that he didn't have what he needed to get the job done. Yeah, he realized that the people was great. He had the wisdom to decide to make decisions on their behalf. He's 18 years old, maybe 19 years old. He's like, look, I need wisdom. I need knowledge. He said, I can judge your people. Yahuwah put in Shlomo his RUACH HaKodesh, the wisdom and understanding and knowledge. He put them in Shlomo. And Shlomo developed in these, demonstrating his wisdom and his knowledge, his understanding of things. But see, his passion was still ToRaH. His passion was still serving Yahuwah. His passion was obeying Yahuwah's ToRaH and his commandments. You know, up until about 30, 35 years later. He wasn't meditating like he should. He wasn't dedicating like he should. It led to his not keeping ToRaH. It led to the RUACH HaKodesh leaving him. Because he transgressed ToRaH. Once you start to transgress ToRaH, Yahuwah's RUACH is not going to remain with you. Unless you make atonement, right? See, Shlomo, you gotta wait for making atonement. You gotta wait for keeping ToRaH. You were told kings not to multiply wives. So Solomon had over 150 of them. 150 women, wives, of all the other nations. Yahuwah told him not to have multiple wives, and then he told him not to marry the women of the other nations. It had nothing to do with race. It had nothing to do with the color of your skin. It had nothing to do with their hair being straight and ours being curly. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with them and their elves. So Yahudah didn't want us to intermingle with these other nations. Because these other nations, they were idol worshippers. They were dread drinkers. They were blood drinkers. They didn't have covenant with you. Right? And listen. A woman has a power over man. She doesn't have the authority given to her by Yahudah. She's under subjection, the authority of that man under Yahudah. Right? But she has a power. She has an authority over a man. Right? Right? And if she serves other elves, right? Her tendency is to take that man and pull him under her dominion. She don't know Yahudah. She could care less about a Yahudah. But she has her elves. And woman has power over man. She can get a man to do whatever she wants him to do. Actually, let me say this. She can get an unrighteous man to do whatever she wants him to do. She can't get a righteous man to do that. Because Potiphar's wife was righteous, unrighteous, and wicked, and Joseph was righteous. He knew ToRaH. He knew he couldn't fornicate. He knew he couldn't do it. He couldn't violate Yahuwah's core ToRaH covenant. He ran from her. He cost him some time in jail. She misrepresented and lied. But a wicked man? And over time, she may even persuade a righteous man. Because how calculated she is. How determined she is. That's why Yahudah didn't want him to marry for a wife. See, Shalom. Shalom wanted to keep ToRaH. Right? They said, have no other elves before me. First commandment. He brought them and their elves into the land of Yahudah. He introduced their idolatry in the land of Yahudah. He listened to the things that they had said to him. He turned his affection from Yahudah to them. That's why you got in Ecclesiastics, he ran around talking vanity, all the vanity, said the preacher. It's all vanity. What? A man filled with the RUACH HaKodesh? There's nothing vain about what he does or what he experiences. Because he's led by Yahudah. Everything that he does is motivated by Yahuwah's RUACH. There's nothing vain about that. But a carnal man, he sees things as vanity. But the idea is that the nation began to fall because of idolatry. Right? The nation began to fall as a result of wickedness. Right? Shlomo's time was a time of peace, just like Alexander the Great. Right? But after Shlomo, they started to head downhill real bad, real fast, super fast. Right? Because Shlomo turned his back on you. Listen, he says here. Right? And went throughout, verse 3, and went through to the ends of the earth. He took spoils of many nations, insomuch as the earth was quiet before him. He didn't have to war. There was no wars. Everybody respected his. Whereupon he was exalted. God lifted up in his heart. Because he did. Right? Because it was you who was doing. Because he did. Right? He only reigned for 12 years. Right? It says, and his heart was lifted up, and he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became their tributaries. So they was paying him taxes, right? And after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he should die. He knew he was dying, right? Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So he parted the kingdoms, the territories that he had taken. He gave them to his servants. He gave to his servants. He gave them to people who didn't know how to rule. Right? Right? He gave them to his servants. So Alexander reigned for 12 years and then died. And his servants bore rule, every one in his place. And after this death, they all put on crowns. All put on crowns. You know, a lot of these medieval movies, where you see all these various kingdoms, right? All these various European kingdoms and how they're struggling under the authority of these other kings, of the head of Rome or the head of Greece or whatever. These kingdoms were split up. They were divided. Right? Everybody put on their own crown. He said, and Alexander reigned for 12 years, and then he died, and his servants, right? And after his death, they put on crowns upon themselves. So did their sons many after them many years. You know, you see him all the time. These Viking movies, these son gets the crown, woman gets the son gets the crown, son gets the crown, son gets the crown. You know. He says, and they reigned many years, and evil was multiplied in the Eretz. So, you know, they reigned. And evil grew in the Eretz, right? Now, as a result of this, there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus. Antiochus, right, was a wicked root, right? Surname Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king. Right? Epiphanes, who had been a hostage at Rome. He was locked up, held, and hostage in Rome, right? And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. So the kingdom of the Greeks was at least 137 years, right? And in those days went out of Israel wicked men, Hebrews, wicked Hebrews, right? Who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. Let's enter agreement with the heathen, right? That is round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Let's make an alliance with America. Let's make an alliance with Britain and France, right? We've been slaves, right? You know, let's agree to live the way they live. Let's agree to serve the elves they serve. Right? It says here, he says here, he said, in those days there went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded men, saying, let us go make a covenant with the heathen. Let's make a covenant with the heathen, right? That are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had such sorrow, right? Right? So this device pleased them well. It's like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's enter a covenant with the other nations. Now, ToRaH specifically says we won't make covenants with the other nations. Why would we need to make a covenant with the other nations when we have a covenant with Yahudah, who is sovereign, supreme? Right? Why would we enter into a covenant with other nations? Right? He says here, right? So this device pleased them well, right? Verse 13. Then certain other people were of forward hearing that they went to the king and gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. So they went to the king. Say, look, king, you know, we need a law that governs this. We want to be Greeks, but we need a law that will reinforce what we want to say to the people that are in Jerusalem. Something that we can give to the people of Yashar, right? So, you know, the king was like, okay, cool, I got you. And made themselves uncircumcised. Right? You know, we talked about this in the lesson, in the Shabbat lesson today. You know, how do you make yourself uncircumcised when you've been circumcised? What did you do to change your condition? Right? What did you have to do to show that, right, you were no longer under Yahuwah's covenant? That you're making yourself a Gentile. Right? It says here, they made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant. So they forsook ToRaH. Right? They made themselves circumcised and they joined themselves to the heathen. They became one with the heathen. Right? And were sold into mischief. So they put off ToRaH, put off the covenants and the commandments, and took on the wickedness of the other nations. The mischief. Right? Mischief. That's it. Let's see what that word in definition means. Mischief, right? The definition for the word mischief: a specific injury or damage attributed to a particular agent, right? A cause of source of harm, evil, or irritation. So they gave themselves to evil, right? Actions that annoy or irritates. That's what they did, right? Mischievous, able or tending to cause annoyance, right? irresponsible, right? Irresponsible play. So what we have here is a people who separate themselves from YAHUAH'S covenants and enter into this evil, mischievous, this evil annoyance, this evil, harmful, injurious behavior, right? So now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he brought the reign of Egypt, he brought to reign over Egypt, right? So we're going to skip down, right? But we have these wicked brews that had given themselves to mischief, right? These wicked brews that had become uncircumcised, right? These wicked brews who whereupon built a place of exercise in Jerusalem, right? So they made this place, right, of exercise. And you know what? Right now, when you consider, right, Mike brought this out to me. He says, you know, this exercise, this mischievousness, this exercise that they were doing is more, it wasn't like going to a gym. It was more exercising themselves in the wicked doings, right? You know, wicked doings. You know, the Greeks were heavy into, much like the Romans, were heavy into pornography. 4202. G, fornication. They were heavy into, right, pornography, illicit sexual relationships, right, adultery, fornication, right, homosexuality, lesbianism. They were into Kadar, cut it out. They were heavily into this, right? They were into this mischievousness. So much so that they established a place to perform and to do it in. Greeks were also into competition. You know, wrestling, you know, arena games. They were into all of that stuff, right? So here these wicked brews said, we want to be like them. Talking about the temple now, right? And what it led to, right? So it got to a point where this Antiochus, right, who rose up and took over Egypt, right, also marched on Jerusalem. Now these wicked Greeks, these wicked brews who became Greeks, right, who put away the covenant, who did not tend to the temple. There was none of that. They had taken on the L's of the Greeks, right? Become mischievous, exercising themselves in their whoredom. Right? Right? He says, and after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, verse 20, he returned again 143 years and went up against Israel. So he went back up to Israel. In Jerusalem. Great multitude. Right? Right? That's what he did. And entered proudly into the sanctuary and took away the golden altar, the candlesticks, the candlesticks of lights, the vessels thereof, the table, the shewbread, the pouring vessels, the vials, the golden censers, the crowns, the golden ornaments that were before the temple, and temple all which he pulled off. He went into the temple, took everything. Right? Took everything. And he took also the silver and the gold and the prestigious vessels. He also took the hidden treasures which he found. Right? And when he had taken all, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly. So he marched on Jerusalem, took everything that was returned to Ezra from Darius, all because they wanted to be Hellenized. They wanted to be Greeks. Now this is years. It's generations. 2, 3 generations. Hellenized. They're not keeping ToRaH. They're not keeping the commandments. You know, Mark was telling me, we was talking about the Sunday school lesson. He was talking and sharing with me in reference to the years of captivity. You know, first captivity, first Babylonian captivity, 70 years. This last captivity, 700 years. 400 years. This captivity led to us being robbed and spoiled of our identity. This captivity led to us entering into a covenant with an earth pig and with Baal. It says here, he took it all. It says, and he also took the silver and the gold and the prestigious vessels, and he took the hidden treasures which he had found, right? Right? And when he had taken all away, he went to his own land, having made a great massacre. He shed innocent blood. He killed people. He massacred people. Antiochus. That wicked root. And therefore there was a great mourning in Yashar, and every place where they were. Good morning. Lamented. Right? They were being humbled. So that the prince and the elders mourned, and the virgins and the young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed. See, this is what happens to you when sin abounds. Right? Beauty changes. What do we see now in the lands of our captivities? You see daughters of Zion rising up from the ashes. Looking beautiful again. Beautifully and wonderfully made. Why? Because they have Yahuwah's RUACH. Right? But then you have those who are Hebrews, They look ugly. They think they all there in that the bag of chips. Right? But they're not beautiful like those daughters of Zion. Exposing and showing all of their nakedness. Not the daughters of Zion. Men, same thing, called to greatness. They sold their souls out to an industry. They become the number one enemy of their own people. Shooting their brothers down in the street. Right? Get hyped about going into the hood, another hood, shooting their own brothers. Was scared to death to kill a white man. Therefore, there was a great mourning in Yashar in every place, and they were. So that the princes and the elders mourned, and the virgins and the young men were made feeble. And the beauty of a woman was changed. Every bridegroom took up lamentation. There was no virgin daughters of Zion. Every virgin and young man were made feeble. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that stayed in marriage chambers was in heaviness. She that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness, because there was no grooms for her. The land also was moved from the inhabitation thereof, and all the houses of Jacob was in confusion. The 12 tribes. Everything was changed. Right? Everything was changed. Removed. Right? Everything was in confusion. Because there's no order. There's no ToRaH. The covenant has been violated. Right? Right? He says, and after 2 years fully expired. 2 years. Right? They mourned, right? The king sent chief collectors of tributes unto the cities of Yahudah, and came in Jerusalem with a great multitude, right? And he spoke peaceable words. Listen, I know that we came in and we took everything and we destroyed and we ran and created havoc. But listen, it's different now. Just go ahead and bring your tributes up. You know, it's going to be okay. You're in America now. It's okay. So we're going to give you 40 acres and a mule. We're going to pay you reparations. We're going to do this for you. And then they start bombing our progress. Taking what we have made their own and destroying cities, destroying people. burying cities under waters and lakes. See, they don't want them. They don't even want their own kids to know what they've done. You know, that's why they don't really want you teaching the history of America, right? Because kids don't want to know that granddaddy, great granddaddy was instrumental in bombing people in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They don't want to know that grandmama lied on somebody, say that she was raped and the boy got beat to death and killed. They don't want y'all knowing that. They don't want their kids knowing that. He made them promises. It's going to be peaceful. You know, okay, we believe you. We believe you. We're looking for 40 acres and a mule. Then they come up with sharecropping. You know, we're going to give you a mule, and we're going to give you land to work, right? But you got to pay us back for the mule, and then you got to pay us a percentage of what you make in your harvest. And in the end, you don't make nothing. But it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Start taking your husbands off the streets, right? Putting them in jails, prisons, just because. Jaywalked. Just because you done something, we're going to take you out of the home. But don't worry about it. We got you covered. We gonna give you welfare. Yeah, we gonna give you a monthly check. Just make sure you don't let that man back in that household. You be like, yeah, okay, let me get that money. Okay. We gonna bring you peace, right? Spoke peaceful words, but it was deceit. The plantation owner taught you the Bible, taught you in English what they wanted you to know. Actually, went as far as to get you your own Bible. The plantation owner's abbreviation version. We gonna take care of you. Deceit, right? Deceit. For when they had given consent, okay, we'll do it. We'll stay in covenant with you. You know, we'll stay in covenants with you. You know, and started giving them what they wanted. He fell suddenly upon the city. He smote it very sore, beat it down, right? And destroyed much people in Israel. Started killing you, hanging you from trees. Killing you at will. Killing you and you unarmed. Killing you just because of the color of your skin. Killing you because you're Israel. The number of Hebrews that have died at the hands of these other nations surpass everybody of any race. those that were taken from the continent, that have died in its transportation, its having come here, its having lived on this continent and the other continents, far exceed any one nation. And suddenly, he fell suddenly upon the city, and smote it very sore, and destroyed much people. Now this happened because of that bruise that spawned after that wicked root, Antiochus, that had convinced Yashar that they needed to become Greeks. You know, not everybody became Greeks, but, you know, the majority of them became Greeks, enough so that they fell out of fellowship with you and entered into judgment because they broke the covenant. And when he had taken the spoil of the city, he set it on fire, pulled down the houses and walls thereof of every side. Antiochus. Right? But the women and children took they captive and possessed. Right? Women and children. They destroyed the men. Killed the men. Because, you know, they was going to white out the seed of Israel. They wanted to destroy that seed, Yaakov, Yahudah. Because this is the territory of Yahudah. Then suddenly the city of David, then build they the city of David with a great wall, with mighty towers, and made it a stronghold for them. So they built up the walls of the city of David, but they did it so there would be a stronghold for them. Right? He says, and they put therein a sinful and wicked nation, Esau, Edom, right, and others, right, fortified them in their end. They put these wicked nations in and made them strong in Jerusalem, in the territory of Yahudah. City of Yahuwah. They stored it also with armors and victuals, and when they had gathered together the spoil of Jerusalem, they laid them up there, right? And so they became a sore snare. Those who wanted to hold on, those who didn't want to bow and bend the knee, because, you know, you always got a remnant. There's always a remnant in a place, right? For it was a place to lie in wait against the sanctuary. Right? And an evil adversary of Israel. So they can watch who's going into the temple. And then they can watch who's coming up on the city. Right? He says, thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it. See, these people knew what they were doing. These people were diabolical. They knew what they were doing. Only the priest and the Levites had the authority to shed innocent blood to offer it up as a sacrifice, right? Only, right? But here we have them shedding innocent blood. Shedding innocent blood is taking the life of the innocent. And they did this on either side of the temple. They defiled it. They defiled the temple. They offered up sacrifices on either side of it. They defiled it. This is all because of this wicked root. It's all because of these wicked Hebrews who wanted to become Hellenized. They wanted to be like the Greeks. They wanted to live like the Greeks, do like the Greeks, committed into mischief like the Greeks. They wanted this pornonia worship, this pornonia activity. They wanted it. They wanted the security of the Greeks. They wanted it more than they wanted Yahuwah's ToRaH. They wanted it more than they wanted Yahuwah's covenant, his atonement. Right? 38. Insomuch that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, and became strange to those that were born in her. They didn't even recognize it. They didn't even recognize the people. Right? And her own children, Yahudah, Yashar, Yahudah, left her. Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. It had become overgrown. You could not even recognize it. Couldn't recognize it. It had become robbed and become spoiled. It became a den of thieves and robbers. It's recognizable. Yashar, robbed and spoiled. Had become a people that evolved into thieves and robbers, stealing from your own, murdering your own, killing your own, prostituting your own, selling your own. Her sanctuary was laid waste like the wilderness. Her feasts were turned in the morning. Feasts were turned in the morning. Her Shabbats unto a reproach. Her honor to contempt. The shift. Because of your unrighteousness. You're going to take them from you. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Listen, understand this. There's nothing new under the sun. This is the same diabolical playbook that continues to be played out over the nation of Yashar. There's nothing new under the sun. Same playbook. Different players, the same playbook. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Listen, we are the United Snakes of America. We are one people. We are one human race. Really. We are one religion. One nation under Baal, indivisible. We can't be divided. With liberty and justice for everybody in this United States of America. You believe that because you ain't walked in my shoes. You believe that because you ain't walked in my shoes. You believe that because you ain't walked in the nation of Yashar and Yahudah that was taken captivity. Even on the continent, they've sown division amongst the tribes, amongst the nations, amongst the countries. They created these false borders, right? They sectioned off the country for their benefit. These European nations, this beast system. We one people. He says, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathens agreed according to the commandments of the king. Everyone needs to worship on Sunday because that's the day that we have decided to establish the universal worship, because we worship Helio, the Egyptians worship Ra, And you know, we have this Jesus Christianity, and Baal is the Lord. We have to make a universal religion. One Torah, one law. Not a Torah, but one law. Same diabolical scheme. Got to bring everybody under the umbrella of this Christianity. We can all worship together under the same umbrella God. You Christians, you can worship Jesus, Jesus, the king of the pigs, or the earth pig, you ruler of the pigs. You can do it. And you can worship the Lord. You can worship Baal. You can do it. You know, because we Romans, we gonna worship Helios, the sun god. And because we the dominant religion, we gonna choose the God that we want to worship on his day, and it's gonna be the sun god's day. We all under this umbrella. There's nothing new under the sun. The Pope did just more recently. He got together all the major religions and had a little conference summit. And they all agreed that, you know, agreed. Next thing they're gonna do is they're gonna make the power play for the day. Gonna eventually make it illegal to worship any other day but the Sunday. And any man caught worshiping on any other day than the Sunday, he's gonna face legal law consequences. Even that, especially once the beast takes his throne, his dominion. Right? He says, moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should have his law, Antiochus' law. Right? So all the heathens agreed in accordance with the commandments of the king. Yea, many of the Israelites consented to this worship. Many of the Israelites consented to this religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Shabbat. See, we as Hebrews, we have consented unto Christianity. We've consented to this beast religion, this religion of the earth pig. This religion of Baal, we've consented. Jesus is their Lord and Savior. This earth pig. This Baal worship. There's nothing new under the sun. Temple of Nicaea, of the meeting at Nicaea, they changed laws. They changed Shabbat. They made it illegal to keep Torah. And in Protestantism, all they did was they said, well, you know, we don't keep the Torah because Yahusha fulfilled it, or Jesus fulfilled it. We don't have to keep the Torah because there's grace in Jesus. They've consented. Because now, not only did they have agreed to this Yeshua, or this salvation, Yeshua is Yah's salvation, this salvation of Jesus, this earth pig, has atoned for them, his blood. And every month, they affirm, first Sunday of the month, they affirm and reaffirm their covenant with the earth pig, drinking his cup and eating his blood. Drinking his blood and eating his flesh. Passover is not that. Many of these Israelites consented to this religion and sacrificed unto idols. Profaned the temple. They sacrificed unto idols. Listen, there is nothing new under the sun. We still sacrifice to idols. Not me. But the people that are Hebrews, that ain't quickened, they still sacrifice to idols. Still sacrifice to idols. For the king had sent letters by messenger unto Jerusalem and the cities of Yahudah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. Listen. In this Jesus religion, you don't have to keep the Torah. As Creflo Dollar said, you don't have to keep the Big Ten. You don't even have to keep the over 600 laws. You don't got to do that. Because grace has made you free from that. Now he more recently made a turn saying that, you know, he was wrong and to you know, throw away his books. But he still preaches Jesus. So you're still wrong. But that's what the Christian church told us. There's nothing new under the sun. Tells you don't have to keep the laws. Keep the laws of the religion. Christianity is a religion. It's a Jesus New Testament religion. See, in Hebraic culture, there is only one testament. That's the original testament. There was a renewed covenant, right? Because it required a renewed covenant. Because the one that was in operation only covered sin. But with this renewed covenant, right? Yahushua Mashiach became the Lamb. It wasn't a New Testament. It wasn't a new Torah. He came to fulfill Torah. He said, think not that I've come to destroy the laws and the prophets. Don't think that I come to change what the laws and the prophets have said, because I'm not. I've come to fulfill them. Meaning that I'm coming to fulfill, to bring a completion, because now you can receive this sacrifice, right, that I'm presenting, that's going to reaffirm the covenant. See, but in this Jesus religion, it teaches you that, you don't have to worry about the laws, keeping the ToRaH. You ain't even got to worry about reading your old covenant, because it's old. It's been done away with. It's the same thing. They just put a new twist, new spin on it. See, Rome went off the premises that you ain't going to do it. It's the law. And we going to bring you under judgment, bring you before the lions. We going to feed you to the lions. We catch you doing what you going to do. We going to behead you. We going to do whatever we think we need to do. You're going to take your life for this witness. You're going to have to love not your life unto death, because, this witness demands that, it's per sacrifice. No. Take my head off. I trust you. I believe in Yahushua Mashiach's witness, and I keep ToRaH. So, you ain't going to get me to break the law. I'm not eating your unclean foods. I'm not sacrificing to your idols. I ain't bowing before the NFL. I ain't bowing before the music industry. I ain't bowing before the movie industry. I'm not bowing before the NBA or the NHL or the NBL. I'm not bowing to your elves. I'm not bowing to the earth pig. And I'm not bowing to the Baal, the Baphomet, the breasted one. I'm not doing that. I'm not serving him at Christmas. I'm not serving them at Easter. I'm not serving them in New Year's. I'm not serving those elves. Thanksgiving, I ain't serving them elves. Definitely Halloween, I ain't serving them elves. All of these are wicked idolatry. No, I'm not bowing. I'm not bending the knee, because I'm the temple. Listen. We gotta get through this. He says, listen. And forbid burnt offerings. Right? And sacrifices and drink offerings in the temple. Listen. They forbade those things that we were called to keep throughout our generations that were ToRaH. Christianity, Catholic Church forbade them. This is Greek. The Greeks did it. The Romans did it. From Rome, they went throughout the four corners of the earth. Rome spawned into Protestantism. Protestant spawned into denominationalism. They all held to the tenets that the ToRaH was done away with. Now, the Jehovah's Witnesses, but they off, and they wicked anyway. They off too. They're all diabolical. They all come from the same playbook. Same playbook. Christianity is the playbook. Okay. So you profane the Sabbath because you worship on a Sunday, right? You profane the feast days because you don't even honor the feast days. You honor these holidays, right? You don't do burnt offerings, but you don't offer yourself as a living sacrifice to you, right? You don't present your body a living sacrifice to you, right? You aren't the temple of Yahuwah. But what you have become is someone that agrees to the laws of the heathens. I ain't talking about don't murder somebody. I ain't talking about them laws. I'm talking about the laws that govern your spiritual well-being. See, everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathens agreed, according to the commandments of the king. And many Israelites, because Yahuwah always has a remnant that won't bow, consented to the religion. See, we have so many of us that have consented to the beast religion. They have consented to the beast religion. They've signed off in agreement to it. Now, you signed off not knowing what it is. But it's because of the wicked, diabolical state that you were in that you so willingly gave into it. See, because there was many of our forefathers during the Spanish Inquisition, during the time of Hamashiach and after Hamashiach, that would choose death. Paul was beheaded. Peter was crucified upside down. Look, Stephen was stoned. Because they didn't consider the loss of their life losing life. They considered that gaining life. They were under a different dominion. They didn't fear death. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? In Hamashiach. He's freed me from he's quickened me, giving me life from death. I was once dead in my trespasses and sins, where in times past I walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air. I obeyed Hasatan. I was afraid of death. But in the witness of Yeshua, I ain't afraid of dying no more. Death ain't got me. Because I've received his witness. See, I don't serve the earth pig. And I don't serve the Lord. And I don't refer to him as the Lord. And I don't refer to him as Jesus. Because they don't mean, they're not the name. And the name is significant in Hebraic culture. Significant. The name tells you about the individual. His name is YAHUSHA, Yah salvation. That tells you about the person. This is his real name. This is his Hebrew name. See, Jesus is a word, is a name they ascribe to him. You know, that word has a meaning. See, in English and Latin, that language is witchcraft. So you start to say something. You know, you say that thing, you bring about a certain outcome. Start saying the name. Right now, they made us. Told us that, you know, We couldn't sacrifice. We can't drink offerings in the temple. Forbade drink offerings in the temple. They profane the Sabbath and the feast days. That's what this Jesus religion does. Tells you don't be concerned about the laws. But the laws include the feast days. Same playbook. And they polluted the sanctuary of the holy people. No. They polluted the sanctuary. We tying it together now, right? See, this beast system, this diabolical Christianity, right? It polluted us. It made it possible for us to eat the unclean things. You know, because they got to tell you that Peter said slay and eat and all that unclean stuff that he was saying, oh yeah, you can eat. That's not what that meant. And Peter understood what it meant. It wasn't a literal translation. It was representative of a nation of people of assorted nationalities, right? That the children of Israel did not even become involved with. That Yahudah said that I am going to make clean. Sheep that are not disposed. He was going to do what was necessary to bring them in. A temple that was sanctuary. This is a temple that was holy. Because in the time of the dedication, right, the temple was literal, physical. At the time of Mashiach, the temple was Yahusha. He was the only place where the RUACH of Yahudah dwelt. The priesthood was wicked. Edomites, Esau was in it. The Herod was an Edomite. The Roman government ran Herod, who ran Esau, who ran the priesthood, the governing of the nations, the territories. Pilate, Festus, Agrippa, these were all people that were puppets. Yahushua was the temple. In the Eretz, Yahushua became the first example of Yahuwah in the Eretz again, in flesh. Yahudah said it. He said, he told me, in him whom I've seen the Ruach HaKodesh descending upon him, that individual, where he abodes, the Ruach abodes, that individual is going to come up and baptize with the Ruach HaKodesh. He is going to bring your earthly temple to life. See, they want you to keep that temple profaned. They want you to stay in love with the pig. They want you to stay in love with these unclean animals that they say you can eat. And these shrimp and catfish and turkeys, and they want you to believe these things are okay to eat. They want you to keep this temple defiled. They want you to keep this temple profane. Christendom. They exalt this stuff. See, that's why there's no salvation in Jesus. Because that name means earth pig. There is no salvation in earth pig. These writers knew the name of Yahuwah was Yahuwah, not the Lord. They knew that. They knew this. They understood this. But they had an agenda. They had to deceive the world. The world had to become darkened. Hasatan had to bruise the heel of Yahusha. 400 years, his people, Yahudah, in captivity. Having to be born again, just like their forefathers. Having to receive the witness of Yahushua, just like their forefathers. Having to be born again of the water and the RUACH, like their forefathers. Not Jesus. That name can't bring salvation. It's Hebraic. The name of you is Hebraic. He says here, pollute the sanctuary, to pollute the sanctuary and the holy people, So how did they profane the sanctuary? By bringing in Jesus. How did they pollute the temple? By bringing in unclean foods, unclean things that ToRaH said to stay away from. Right? Right? Pollute the sanctuary, the temple, and the people. How do you keep these people polluted? By keeping them under a perpetual covenant. Having him every first Sunday drink the blood of the earth pig and eat the body of the earth pig. Roman Catholic Church will tell you this is the literal blood that you're drinking. And this is the literal body that you're eating. Now, in ToRaH, that goes against everything ToRaH says. Yahushua was talking about the blood of the grape. He was like, look, I will not eat any more of the fruit of the vine. I will not drink any more of the fruit of the vine. He understood specifically what he was referring to. See, but the Catholic Church is twisted that you're thinking that you need to drink blood. And that you need to eat his body. And who is he? He's Jesus. Who's Jesus? The earth pig. So you gonna drink and enter into a covenant with Baal, the father of lies. You gonna enter into covenant with Baal, right? And you are going to atone with the blood of the earth pig. There's nothing new under the sun. It's the same playbook. He has you polluted. And you know what? Some of y'all ain't gonna never see it. Some of you ain't gonna never see this. Some of you gonna see it and say, oh man, our fathers lied to us. He told us lies. Let's go. He says, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. Sacrifice Swine's flesh. This is the blood of Jesus. Names mean something. Yahushua said, there is salvation in no other name than in the name of Yahushua. Hebraic. That name means Yah's salvation. The blood of Jesus is the blood of a pig. Swine's flesh. And sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. See, some of y'all so in this covenant that it's going to take Yahudah himself. Have a like, you ain't gonna get it. You ain't gonna want to receive it. You see, he didn't tell me to make you receive it. He told me to preach. Right? You got to be born again of this water and this RUACH HaKodesh. You got to come by the name of YAHUSHA, because the name of Jesus can't save you. That's swine flesh. $47. And set up altars. Now this is what Antiochus is telling them to do. Set up altars and groves. Set up places to worship these elves. Chapels of idols. You got, you know, in these Christian churches, man, you got chapels, you got idols. You got, in the black community, you got one on every corner. Little storefronts. Everybody trying to carve out their little section and Baal and Jesus worship. Full of a bunch of pornonia. He says that they should also leave their children uncircumcised. I'm glad my father circumcised me. Right? It was the Most High that had him do it, because he wasn't even circumcised. My father got circumcised as an older man. My father was in his 40s, I think. 40s when he got circumcised. Maybe, yeah, he was in his 40s when he got circumcised. Or late 30s, early 40s. He circumcised me as a baby. I circumcised my son on the 8th day. I did it because it was in the ToRaH. I told my doctor, when my son was born, I said, listen, I want my son uncircumcised. He was a Jewish doctor. He said, yeah, we'll circumcise him on the 8th day. We'll schedule an appointment. How would I have known that? Yahudah just does everything the way it's supposed to be done. Because he's called me. My son, my son is, I love my son. I do. I love my Darius. Right. He's circumcised. He's been running, ducking, dodging. He's been doing everything in his power. And, he recently called me. I called him. He was like, Dad, he's talking to me about the Most High. Now, whether he's telling me the truth or not, Yahudah knows. Right? Yahudah knows. I mean, all I have is a record of what he's demonstrated to me in the past. Right? And most of the time it hasn't been truthful. But, I know Yahudah has a covenant with me and I have a covenant with you. And I offered my son up to you. He was circumcised. He's of the nation of Yashar. Yahudah. My prayer is that Yahudah would, make that covenant real to him. And my daughters too. They're daughters of Zion. My hopes is that Yahudah would, and they have me, their father, And this word, the word that I, look, that's what it is. Right? But he had them to leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all matter of uncleanness and prohibition. Get them involved in all kinds of wickedness, all kinds of mischief, all kinds of evil, all kinds of porneia. This is what the king Antiochus, that wicked root, did to the children of Yahudah in the kingdom of Yahudah. To the end they might forget ToRaH. Oh, y'all don't need to worry about ToRaH. And that's done away with. All you need is Jesus. All you need Jesus is religion, and you just need to believe to be born again. You know, and again, too, you know, they done took that whole idea of being born again and just profaned it. They don't even understand what it means to be born again of the water and of the RUACH HaKodesh. They don't understand that. They don't even understand the method of atonement. They don't understand that, right? Because what they did was they took what Shaul wrote as cliff notes and established a whole doctrine from it without understanding the foundation of ToRaH, right? The New Testament is just cliff notes. Just cliff notes. You know, now you got the epistles, right? But you know, you got Revelations, but you got Daniel. You got the Besoros, the life of YAHUSHA, from 4 different perspectives, right? I happen to love the perspective of YAHUDAH, right? But they're all a reflection of the original covenant. Everything YAHUSHA taught was about the original covenant. It was written to a people, who were Hebraic, who understood the ToRaH. Some of which, because, you know, there's a remnant. Some of them were totally jacked up. But not all of them. Kadar! Shut it up! Kadar! Excuse me, y'all. See this? She might make me get up from here. So, he says here, to the end that they might forget ToRaH and change all the ordinances. Now, this is before Hamashiach. This is what they were doing before Hamashiach. This is the same playbook. Before Hamashiach, this is the same playbook. They wanted us to keep this defiled. They wanted this to be in a place where it could not be restored. He says, and whosoever would not do according to the commandments of the king, they should die. Spanish Inquisition. They were killing them brews. They had faith in Hamashiach and kept ToRaH. They wanted them to accept the religion of Jesus. That cross, that idol, that European Fabio on a cross. They want them to do that. Hold on a second. Excuse me. So as a nation, Hasatan has always moved to cause us to have this temple defiled. That's always been the goal, right? He says, listen. He said, and whosoever would not do according to the commandments of the king, they should die. Right? In the selfsame manner wrote he to the whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all the people, pastors, church leaders, over all the people, commanding the cities of Yahudah to sacrifice city by city. Right? So, every day or all the time, he says, listen, and in that self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Yahudah to sacrifice city by city. Right? Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit every one that forsook the ToRaH, and so they committed evils in the land, right? And drove the Israelites into secret places, even whosoever they could not find, they could file or secure, right? Now the 15th day of the month of this day, Colossus, in the 145th year, they set up an abomination of desolation upon the altar and built idol altars throughout the cities of Yahudah in every side, right? And burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And they had rent in pieces the books of the ToRaH, which they had found, and they burnt them with fire. So, it says, and whosoever was found with the book of the ToRaH, the testaments, or any consent of the ToRaH or of the law, the king's commandments was that they should be put to death. So if you had anything other than what the king had commanded, you'd be put to death. Right? He says, listen, this they did by their authority unto the Israelites every month, as many as were found in the cities. You know, this Catholic Church, in the Christian church, in Catholic Church too, they make you reaffirm your covenant with the earth pig every time you take communion. Yahuwah's always got a remedy. Yahuwah's always got a remnant. They're going to be hunting you out. They're going to be looking for you. But he always got a remnant. And they want to destroy the ToRaH from you. They want to destroy the ToRaH, and they want you to be into this New Testament Jesus earth pig religion. This Jesus earth pig Baal religion. And they want to keep you defiled. They want to keep you from keeping your feast days. They want to keep you from keeping your Shabbats. They want to keep you from keeping your Shavuoths. They want to keep you from doing everything that Yahuwah says as an instructed you to do throughout your generations. And they want to use the excuse that the law is done away with. And they want you to worship Baal. They want you to worship that phallic tree symbol. They want you to bring your gifts under his tree. They want you to do this. They want you to participate in these wicked pagan services. They want you to sacrifice swine's flesh. Now, the 5 and 20th days of the month, they did sacrifice upon the altars, idols, altars, and upon the altar of Yahuwah. They went in offering swine's flesh on the altar of Yahuwah. They performed the abomination of desolation. They're doing the same thing now. Right? They just tell you this is the cup of Jesus' blood. When you drink this, you're doing it as if you were drinking his blood. This is his body, swine's flesh. When you take and eat this, it's like eating his body. Same playbook. Shlomo said there's nothing new under the sun. Same playbook. At which time, according to the commandments, they put to death certain women that caused their children to be circumcised. Hey, you may have to die for this witness. Hebrew and Gentile alike. You may have to die for this witness. Right? Right? And caused their children to be circumcised. And they hung the infants about the neck. And rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit many of Israel were found fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. You ain't gonna get us to eat this pig. You ain't gonna get us to drink this blood. You ain't gonna get us to do abominations. If it means we die, we die. If it means our children die, our children die. So it means that. You know what I'm saying? But you know this. If I die, I'm going to see Yahuwah, right? I'm going to see my Aluah, and my son is going to see him too. Howbeit many Jews were fully resolved, wherefore they chose rather to die. Spanish Inquisition chose rather to die. The apostles, Paul, Peter, Stephen, that they may not be defiled with meat, and that they may not profane the holy covenant. See, this temple right here is Yahuwah's, right? I know we're going a little bit longer today, but I got to close it out with this. All right. 1 Corinthians, the 3rd chapter, the 16th verse. Let's start at the 15th. Let's start at the 16th verse. It says, Know ye not that ye are the temple of Yahuwah, and that the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah dwells in you. Excuse me. The Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah abodes in you. Don't profane his temple. Don't eat unclean and undefiled things. If any man defiles the temple of Yahuwah, him shall Yahuwah destroy. Listen, our forefathers experienced the destruction of the temple and the nation because they defiled Yahuwah's temple by bringing in unclean things, by sacrificing to swine, to idols, by allowing groves and altars and all of these things to be brought into the temple, all these things to be brought into the courtyards, all these things to be brought before the gates, within the city walls, Jerusalem, Mount Zion. If a man defiles the temple of Yahuwah, he shall be destroyed. Yahuwah destroyed a nation. After Yahushua Mashiach, it was a wrap. The forefathers, they wanted the blood of Yahushua Mashiach to be on their hands. They wanted a thief and a robber and a murderer. They wanted Barabbas. Yahushua was going to preach this Basora was going to be preached for a generation. Shaking it. And then it was going to be destroyed. Gross darkness. If any man defiles the temple of Yahuwah, him shall Yahuwah destroy, for the temple of Yahuwah is Kodesh, which ye are. Right? You the temple. Right? Let's go to 1 Corinthians, the 6th chapter. Right? Let's start at the... Let's start at the 12th verse. Shaul says, all things are lawful unto me, but not all things are expedient. You know, I mean, all things are lawful, but not all the things that I do are good for me, are a benefit to me. You know, it's not that I'm under bondage to anything, but because I keep law, right? But everything's not expedient for me, right? All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any. Ain't nothing I'm not going to submit to yield my body, my body instruments. I'm not going to yield them. I'm not going to give dominion over to them, right? He says, meat is for the belly and belly for the meat, but Yahuwah shall destroy both of them all. So there was an issue about eating meat. You know, eating meat offered to idols. You know, some people can't eat meat off of idols because, you know, that idol is a significant thing that they came away from, and because it came away from that idol, you know, they don't feel like it's a good thing for them to eat that meat, right? Well, you know, it's lawful for me to eat meat because what is meat? Meat is meat. You know, the idol don't make the meat. The fact that the meat was sacrificed don't change the nature of the meat. It's still meat. He said, meat is for the belly and meat is for the belly and belly is for meat, but Yahuwah shall destroy them both, right? Now, the body is not for fornication. Okay, so now we talk about the temple of Yahuwah, right? You know, I could eat some things, but not things are all expedient for me, right? I can drink milk, right? But milk messes up my stomach and make me gassy. It's not expedient, right? Certain things I can eat, right? But it's not expedient for me to eat because, you know, it messes me up. Right? At the end of the day, whatever I put in, Yahuwah's going to destroy it all anyway. Right? Now, the body is not for fornication. I can't take this body that houses the Ruach HaKodesh, though I can eat meat. Right? But I can't, maybe I can eat grilled meat, and I can't eat fried meat. They're both meat, but one is digests better than the other. It's not expedient, right? But fornication, under all circumstances, the body ain't made for. I ain't made for pornonia. My body is not made for pornonia. My body is not made for pornonia. My body is not made for illicit sexual intercourse. My body is not made for adultery. It's not made for fornication. It's not made for homosexuality. It's not made for lesbianism. It's not made for sex with animals. It's not made with sex with close relatives. It's not made for sexual relationship with an adult, a divorced woman or a divorced man. My body's not made for that. My body's a temple of Yahuwah. I can't join that to fornication. He says, but for Yahuwah. So my body is for Yahuwah. For Yahuwah, for the body. My body's for Yahuwah, and my body, you are for Yahuwah, and so is your body, in essence. For Yahuwah has raised up ADONI YAHUSHA, and he will also raise up us by his own power, right? Now, Yahuwah has put his Ruach in us, which makes us his temple, right? When it's time to raise us up, he's going to raise us up by that power, right? Right? He's going to raise us up. He says, know ye not that your body is a member of Hamashiach, which means that you are attached to Hamashiach. That Yahuwah and Yahusha is in you, right? You're attached, right? Shall I then take the member of Yahusha Hamashiach and make it a member with the harlot? So, if Yahuwah's on the inside of me, will I go out and have a illicit sexual relationship, pornonia, with an adulterous woman? Will I commit fornication with a homosexual? Or will I commit fornication with a lesbian? Will I commit fornication with an animal or with a child or with an adulterer with a divorced woman, divorced man? Will I do these things? No. How can I do that and I'm attached to Yahuwah through the Ruach HaKodesh and Yahusha? Yeah, I can eat meat, right? Meat is a whole different issue. I can't eat some meat. I can't eat certain meat prepared a certain way. He says here, What know ye not, that he which is joined to a harlot is one body, and the two shall be one flesh? So literally, you join yourself to sin. Right? Now, if you married and it's your wife and you're having an intimate relationship, that union is sanctioned and sanctified by Yahuwah. There's no profanity in that. There's no uncleanness in that. Even if you have the Ruach HaKodesh and you're saved and your wife isn't saved or your husband isn't saved, right? Because you're still, it's not going to affect you that way. Because by virtue of that union, right, there is a permissiveness to the intimate act. But if that ain't your husband, and you ain't married, you ain't got a husband, but you single, and he's single, it's still pouring on you. Until the union becomes sanctioned by Yahuwah. Technically, you got the Ruach HaKodesh, he got the Ruach HaKodesh, but you're joining your bodies in an unholy and unsanctioned way. It's not divine. Listen. But he that joineth unto the ADONI is one Ruach. He that enjoins to Yahuwah has Yahuwah's Ruach on the inside. Right? You ain't joining yourself with a bunch of other Ruachs. You have Yahuwah's Ruach on the inside of you. Right? Flee fornication. Run from fornication. Every sin that man doeth is without the body. I mean, everything the man does literally happens outside of his body. Right? But the act of fornication is a direct assault on his body because Yahuwah is in him. Right? Or he is in her. Right? Right? Listen, you literally transfer parts of you to other people. I truly believe that. And some of the stuff that you get stuck with, you're going to have the blood of Yahushua Mashiach to take you out of. And I ain't talking diseases. I'm talking about spiritual stuff. That it's going to take the Ruach of Yahuwah, the blood of Yahusha, the water, the blood, and the Ruach HaKodesh to bring you free of that. Because he has to cleanse you from all unrighteousness. You got to have the Ruach, you got to have the forgiveness and the blood, the atonement of Yahushua Mashiach to forgive you and cleanse you from that. And then you got to have Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh in you to get rid of all that stuff. That's why a daughter of Zion could be a stripper. She could have been a pole dancer, right? She could have been a prostitute. But when she gets in the water, and when that blood atonement cleanses her, right? She gets filled with the Ruach HaKodesh. She becomes a beautiful daughter of Yahuwah. Because that's all he sees now. That's all you should see. There's some women that come out of some serious pain. Some sexual pain stuff. Right? They got that stuff in their heads with constantly, hostiles constantly reminding them of who they are, what they did, what they were. Nobody gonna want you. All of this stuff. Listen, you gotta have Yahuwah to come in by his Ruach HaKodesh and do some. Listen, these dudes that molested you deposited in you. It's gonna take Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh. It's going to take the blood of Yahusha, the atonement of Yahusha, to bring you free from that. Flee fornication. For every sin that man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sins against his own body. Right? Know ye not that your body is what? The temple of the Ruach HaKodesh, which is in you. Ye have of Eluah, and you are not your own. Therefore, ye are brought with a price. For ye are brought with a price. Therefore, glorify Eluah in your body and in your spirit, which is our Eluah's. See, that's why you got to guard your temple. That's why you got to break free from Yesu, Jesus, and Baal. That's why you got to understand in this witness, you become a new person. One more scripture, and then we done. Because, you know, I'm working on 2 hours and 10 minutes. I ain't did a 2 hour, 10 minutes message in a long time. But Yahudah knows. Right? Where am I going with this? Okay. I want 2 Corinthians 6 and 16. Right? We're going to start at the 14th verse of the 6th chapter of 2 Corinthians. He says, but be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. Why? Because you have the Ruach HaKodesh of Yahuwah, and an unbeliever has the Ruach of Hasatan. The children of Yahuwah and the children of Hasatan are distinct. The children of Yahuwah have Yahuwah's Ruach. The children of Hasatan has Hasatan Ruach. Right? He says, now, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, because an unbeliever has the Ruach of Hasatan. Right? For what fellowship has righteousness with unrighteousness? What fellowship, what can Yahuwah and Hasatan do together? Not a thing. Not a thing. Right? Right? And what communion have light with darkness? You the light of the world. You the light of Yahuwah. The Ruach in you is light. They are in a constant perpetual state of darkness. That's why you ain't supposed to become involved in relationship with sinners. And you have Yahuwah's Ruach. Now, if you ain't got Yahuwah's Ruach HaKodesh, and say for instance, you wasn't even in this waking, you hadn't even understood being born again, you ain't know none of that stuff, right? You ain't have a clue about none of that stuff. But all of a sudden, you got married, you've been married for like 6-7 years, you know what I'm saying? And, it ain't been a bad marriage, but it ain't been a good marriage. It's been a marriage. You've had some good times, but now, you receive Yahuwah, you've come to this witness, you become born again of the water and Ruach HaKodesh. You have the Ruach HaKodesh on the inside of you, right? And, and you thriving, and, your husband ain't changing. What do? You don't just divorce him. You pray for him, right? And you do what Yahuwah would expect you to do as a wife. Now, if he becomes abusive, if he becomes a fornicator and cheats on you and do all that stuff, then no, you ain't got no obligation to stay. Actually, you might want to, cry a little bit and weep a little bit, but use that as your exit. I mean, if you feel like you can endure it, then endure it. But, sometimes it would just give you as an out. It's a painful out, but it is what it is, right? And just because you get out, don't mean that you're going to run to find somebody right away. It's going to replace that. No, what's going to replace that is Yahuwah and his Ruach HaKodesh and his witness. And when you've established yourself in this walk and you have become satisfied with YAHUSHA alone, then he may introduce somebody to you. Be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship haveth righteousness with unrighteousness? What communion haveth light with darkness? What communion? Right? Let's look at that Strong's word communion. I just want to look at that Strong's word communion. That's G 2842, koinonia.
Strong's G 2842, koinonia. Koinonia.
It means the fellowship, association, community, conjunction, joint preparation, joint participation, intercourse. Right? Intercourse. He says, the share which one has in everything in participation intercourse, fellowship, intimacy. Right? So, tell me, what intimacy, what intercourse has light with darkness? Self-explanatory, right? And what concord, right? Concord is agreement, right? Symphonious.
Strong's G 4857. Symphonesis.
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 It means agreement. What agreement, right? Right? What agreement have Hamashiach with Baal? Would I look like, having received a witness, walking in Yahushua Hamashiach's witness and going to a Christian church, knowing that it's Baal? Or what part haveth he that believeth with an infidel? What's an infidel? Right?
Strong's G 571. Apostas.
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 To be unfaithful, faithless, right? Unbelieving, right? Incredulous, without trust, right? What kind of contract or agreement would I have with somebody I can't trust? He says, what agreement haveth the temple of Yahuwah with idols? Right? For ye are the temple of the living Yahuwah. Yahuwah haveth said, I will dwell in them, walk in them. I will be their Yahuwah, and they shall be my people. The temple of Yahuwah. You're the temple of Yahuwah. Hasatan, in these religions, have attempted to impose their darkness, their idolatry. Everything that these religions offer are everything that Yahuwah says, what do you have to do with that? What communion have you with the earth pig and Baal? Wherefore, come out from among them. Come out from among them. And be Kodesh. Because they ain't holy. Be separate, set apart, because they ain't separate and set apart unto you. Saith ADONI, Yahuwah. And touch not the unclean, and ye shall be received. Don't touch it. Don't be drinking that cup no more. Don't be eating that body no more. That is not Passover. Don't be doing that. Don't be reaffirming your covenant with these pagan religion once a month. Don't be drinking the blood of the earth pig, right? Don't be eating the flesh, swine's flesh. Don't do it. And then he'll receive you. Don't even touch it. He said, listen. And will be Abba unto you, and ye shall be my sons and my daughters. So we're going to be his sons and his daughters because we have his witness on the inside, right? Because we have his water, we have his blood, we have his RUACH HaKodesh, right? We are the witnesses to the ToRaH and the Besorah of truth. We walk about demonstrating what it means to be Kodesh. We are the dedicated temple of Yahuwah. We are the dedicated temple of Yahuwah. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, that's all we got. Now this is going to be a little bit long and you're going to have to endure. But if you want to hear the word of Yahuwah, you better listen to the end. Hallelujah. Yahweh, I give you praise for your word. I give you praise for your Shabbat. I thank you, Yahuwah, that your word is a lamp unto our feet, a light unto our pathway. I thank you that the entrance of your word gives light and gives understanding to the simple. I thank you, Yahuwah, that you are a renewer. You are a reestablisher. You are he that gives life. You quicken, make alive. And I give you praise. Yahuwah, I pray right now that the words that I speak would be spirit and life to those who have an ear to hear. Yahuwah, I know everybody ain't going to receive it. I know everybody ain't going to hear it. But those that you have chosen will. And I thank you for them. Yahuwah, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight. This day, on your Shabbat, I pray in the name of YAHUSHA. Hallelujah. Man of Yah, woman of Yah, called the greatness. This is the Shabbat. And we are dedicated temples to Yahuwah. Coming upon the feast of dedication. Listen. If you want to keep the Torah and the commandments, take this word, be established in the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. Follow me. With that I say, listen, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, and be blessed.
ToRaH Garden, speaking the absolute truth. ToRaH Nation.